Hey y'all, welcome to the Pungo Prairie. Now you may not believe it because I've never done a show on it, but something I'm most famous for around here is my barbecue. So I decided to do a series on it and share some of my recipes for smoking, barbecuing, and grilling. And I thought the perfect way to kick off the season is by barbecuing a hog. And I'm gonna show y'all how I do it. So don't go nowhere because you don't want to miss this. One thing about barbecuing, your cooking temperature better have a 2 in front of it, because when you start getting into 3s, you're not barbecuing, you're grilling. Now the first thing we're going to do is dump our wood chunks in this bucket here. Now I know most folks like to use hickory when they're barbecuing a hog, but shh, don't tell anybody. I prefer mesquite. Personally, I think mesquite gives a little bit sweeter smoke flavor going on in there. Now we're just going to fill this bucket up with water till it covers our wood chunks. Gives them a nice soaking going on. Now I got a little starter chimney here filled up with some charcoal. We're just going to get our burner going. Set our little chimney right over top of it. Now that ain't going to take no time at all before those coals are good and hot and ready to put in our smoke box. Now we're going to light off our pit. Get the other burner. Our coals are looking good. Dump them right in our wood box here. Add a few chunks of this mesquite. Just dampen our airflow down here a little bit, because what we're looking for out of that wood box is mostly smoke, not fire. Now let's go get that hog that I picked up from the slaughterhouse this morning. Now we're just going to open the lid to our cooker here and give a nice spray down with some cooking spray. That'll help at the end of the game if I want to slide that hog over a little closer to me when I go to picking it. That's what you call hog-tied. Now I know everybody's got their own little method, the way they're going to put that hog on the pit. But I like to have mine butterflied open, and I cook them with the skin side down throughout the duration of the cooking process. I used to flip them and do some of this back and forth stuff, but no, with my experience, the best way to come out with a tender, juicy, succulent, pulled whole hog pork barbecue is leave that hog laying right flat on his back. Get nice and centered up here. Now I know that some of y'all are thinking that maybe you want to put a little spice rub down on the meat. Maybe shoot a little injection marinade in there. But I find for my purposes the best spice that you can do and seasoning for that hog during the cooking process is that fire spice. Right from that mesquite smoke and that charcoal. Okay baby, you sleep tight. We're just going to lower the lid down, lock her down, and adjust our pressure down, and holding steady just a tad above 2 pounds of pressure. Now I believe the perfect temperature for barbecuing a hog is somewhere between 225 and 250. But it's hard for me to keep the temperature that low on this pit I have here, because if I turn the pressure back to 1.5 pounds on a windy day like this, sometimes my flame will blow out and I lose my steam. And you don't want to lose the temperature in your pit and not know about it. So I'm going to be cooking this hog somewhere today, probably around 275 to 285 which I know is going to be just fine because I've done it plenty of times. Now we got our temperature just about to 275. Now, this is a 60-pound hog we're barbecuing today. That's not a very big one, but I figured that temperature around 275, 285, it's going to take 8 to 9 hours to reach our internal meat temperature of 190 degrees, which is where you want to be for a perfect, succulent, tender, fall off the bone whole hog pulled pork barbecue. Now, I don't reckon I've barbecued 1,000 hogs yet, but it's got to be getting on up there, several hundred for sure. And one thing I don't like to do is barbecue a hog that weighs over 150 pounds. Heck, I don't even like to barbecue a hog that weighs 150 pounds. If you can keep it 100 to 125 pounds max, I think that's just perfect. But even better than perfect is these little hogs, these 60 to 75 pound hogs. Now, depending on how many people you're going to have to your pig picking, that's going to have to kind of dictate the size hog you get. But theoretically, a half a pound per person is usually gracious plenty, especially when you got other sides going on and if you're barbecuing some chickens or some ribs to go along with it. So that means a 75-pound hog will feed probably close to 150 people. But on the other hand, you can't go too little for barbecuing. Like if you get below 50, down to 40, 45 pounds, sometimes those little hogs are so lean that meat tends to be a little bit drier. It'll still have the flavor and it'll still be tender, but it won't be as juicy just because they haven't had a chance to live long enough to pack it on. Okay, we moved inside to the kitchen here at a Pungo Prairie Saloon so we can make up what we're going to season our hog with after it's through with the barbecuing and smoking process. It's just a really simple vinegar and pepper-based south sauce that I call Pungo Prairie Piggy Perfume. Now we got just 8 ingredients going in our south sauce. A stingy 1/4 cup of some fine ground black pepper. About a stingy 1/2 cup each of fine ground white pepper and crushed red pepper flakes. Half that amount, a 1/4 cup of some fine ground red pepper, but not cayenne. A 1/2 cup of salt, this happens to be sea salt, and 2.5 cups of some light brown sugar, or about 1.5 pounds. And we're going to blend all that together and add it to a gallon of some good old apple cider vinegar. Okay, in goes our 1/2 cup of salt, our 1/4 cup of fine ground black pepper, our 1/2 cup of fine ground white pepper, our 1/4 cup of fine ground red pepper, and a 1/2 cup of our crushed red pepper flakes. And we're just going to whisk all that around in there together and get it blended up nice and even. Now you may want to pull your bandana up because breathing the dust from this stuff, it'll hurt you. Now this is going to yield you a little over 1.5 cups of total salt and pepper mixture. Now I'm going to add maybe 2 or 3 cups of our apple cider vinegar to this jug here. It's a little bit more than a gallon capacity. Then in goes our salt and pepper blend. Then next, our 2.5 cups or 1.5 pounds of brown sugar. And I'm just going to stir it all together here with this little whisk because I can't figure out what I did with the top. Normally, I just screw it on there and shake it all up. And in goes the rest of our gallon of vinegar. Just screw on this spout and dump as much of it as we can back into our gallon jug here. This barkeeper jug is a perfect thing for pouring it back in with and mixing up all them peppers and sugar a little bit more. Now we're just going to set our gallon jug of Pungo Prairie Piggy Perfume aside till we're ready to souse that hog with it later. Now it's already been a couple of hours. Let's check our smoke box and add some more of that mesquite. Oh yeah, a little bit more going on in there. Looks like our temperature's creeped up just a few degrees. Just see if we can dial that pressure back a little bit. There you go. Okay, it's been about 6 hours since we put our hog on. Let's check the progress. Now I got these 4 little meat thermometers. We're just going to insert one into each one of the legs. Go back here with the first one. Come right in this shoulder with this one. Now we don't want to hit a bone. And then one into each one of the hams. Now we're about 180, maybe a little bit above on that front shoulder back on this side here. And about the same on this other shoulder. But just barely 175 on our ham here. So as you can see, we still got a little ways to go to get to that 190 mark. We'll close back up our pit. Get our temperature back up to a little bit above 275 or so. Give it about another hour and we'll check him again. Okay, we're a little over 8 hours into our cooking time. I got this little digital instant read thermometer. Let's see what we got. Voila! $196, $197. And this pig is ready to pick. And the first thing we're going to do is peel those ribs off. Just come right on away. That loin out of there. I'm going to put this nice tender meat right here in this pan. Is that pretty or what? Get our shoulder here. See how that meat just falls right off of the bone? Nice and tender. Okay, now we're going to get the ham. All that nice tender meat off that ham. Right on in the pan. Now we're just going to pull all the meat apart and blend all those different cuts together. That's why they call it whole hog pulled pork barbecue. That 190-degree temperature, that gets that collagen all broke down so that meat just melts in your mouth. Then we got our Pungo Prairie piggy perfume. We're going to souse it all down. Give it a good sousing. Toss that in there. Souse it some more. Piggy, piggy, piggy. Piggy, piggy, piggy. But there's the bone. Got to come out of there with all them bones. It's important to souse this hog when he's still hot like this so that spices and vinegar gets drawn in and infused into the meat. We'll take some tin foil, wrap it up, keep it warm, set the pan up here on a rack. I'm just going to slide him over a little bit. That's why we use that cooking spray. Ooh, it's a little hot. That's what these gloves are for. Now I'm picking this side right in the carcass, using the skin as my pan. Get in here, get this ham. It comes right on apart like that. Some people like chopping it. Personally, I like the pulled pork. Toss it all so all those different cuts, shoulders and loins and tenderloins and hams and pork belly, gets all mixed in there together nice. That's what makes your barbecue so flavorful when you do it like this. You get all the different parts of the hog in there. On with our salsa sauce. Pungo Prairie Piggy Perfume, which you can do here on the second side to serve to your guest. Keep it nice and moist. They want to just walk up to the cooker, scoot it all this way, fold the skin right over. Now keep it all nice and moist, not dry out. Now that, girls and boys, is whole hog pulled pork barbecue the Pungo Prairie way. Oh my goodness. Now would you look at that. Just take another nice big scoop of our whole hog pulled pork barbecue, put it on our plate, right next to that nice sandwich. Now my buddy Jim Clark makes up his daddy's recipe, this Georgia red barbecue sauce. It makes the perfect finishing touch for my Pungo Prairie whole hog pulled pork barbecue. A little bit of that Georgia red. Got us some fresh made Jim Captain Hush Puppy Clark's Hush Puppies. Some fresh from the field and first of the season color for farms, peaches and cream corn on the cob. And of course, you know you got to have Pungo Prairie 9-day coleslaw. Dear Lord, thank you for this little piggy and this awesome barbecue that it produced. Bless it to nourish our bodies and strengthen our spirits for a life in Thee. Through Jesus we pray. Amen. Now you know I've been dying to dive into this. Oh my, now that'll make you squeal. And that, girls and boys, is what's cooking on the Pungo Prairie. Hey, maybe next time we'll barbecue us up some ribs or even some Cornish game hens.